All right, so today we're talking to Corinne. And Corinne, could you introduce yourself real quickly for us?
Hi, I'm Corinne. I'm living in London. We have a short-term rental property in Australia on the south coast of New South Wales.
Nice, nice. So we found each other on the Touch Stay Rockstar group on Facebook. I posted up there, requesting some tech questions from the group. And you had a really great question about Google Analytics and integrating Google Analytics into your website. So I jumped on that because I think I love data, and I think that on the internet, when it comes to marketing or planning and these sorts of things, data is the tool that you need to educate your decisions. And uh, without a tool like Google Analytics, you really have no idea who's coming to your site, where they're coming from. You just know nothing, right? You can just guess. Oh, I feel my website's more popular today because of this thing, but you don't really know, right?
Right.
So enter Google Analytics. It's been around for forever and it's free. And most websites, well, basically every website can use Google Analytics. And so what I've learned is that right now you have your website through Weebly. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. So Weebly is, for anyone who doesn't know, Weebly is one of these sort of template website builder deals. What are some other ones like Squarespace, Weebly, Wix? There's a bunch of them out there. They're a really easy way to get going quickly if you need a website. And I took a brief look at your website, and I think it looks great. It's simple. It's easy to navigate. It's very clean looking and not cluttered. So you were able to put this together with Weebly, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I basically built the framework of it in a day, so that was really easy. And I chose that because it was going to be so simple. And I thought, great, 1, 2, 3, put it together. I've had a lot of problems, so we had a couple of technical challenges. Anyway, we've worked through that, and so it is as you see it now, but it could be a lot better.
Right. Well, for the time, or it seems like for the investment, the time investment you put into it, I think you got a pretty good result from that. But let's talk about Google Analytics, because that's how you're really going to know if you're doing well or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first step, what is Google Analytics? Google Analytics it's a tool from Google, obviously. And what it is just basically just a little snippet of code that hides in the background of your website. And that code its job is to pay attention to who's visiting your website and what they're doing. And it reports all that information back to Google. And then they provide you with a dashboard, the Google Analytics dashboard, that allows you to see this data in a way that, well, I should say a way that makes sense, but it won't really make sense until you've learned a little bit, I would suppose. But I did some Googling around, and Weebly actually has a really incredible Google Analytics guide. Seems quite well thought out, and it tells you about all sorts of different things that you can do inside the Weebly world with Google Analytics. So I will link that. I will send you that link. It's got a lot of great information, and that's going to be sort of your homework or like deep dive resource. The first obvious step for Google Analytics is going to be signing up for Google Analytics. And that's as simple as opening up a browser bar, type in Google Analytics in the search bar. It'll be the first link. If you have a Gmail account or any sort of Google account, I'll probably tie it to that. It'll ask you to sign in first. And then from there, it's actually quite a guided process. I hadn't done it in a very long time, so I did it right before our phone call for kicks with a fresh email account to see what it would look like. And it's a guided process that's pretty simple. And the most complicated part about the setup will be just getting the tracking code that I mentioned into your website. These website builder tools, all of them have somewhere where you can paste in code to do this tracking. And so there might actually be people watching this video who aren't using any of those options. Maybe they're using a website that came with their property management software, maybe Logify or Booking Sync or whoever, right? And a lot of these companies provide you with a website when you buy into their software. And what I've noticed is that all of those as well, they have this tracking area too. That everyone knows how important it is to be able to use Google Analytics. So most people are on board with it. So after you've got the code in there, and it's working, right? Now what? I mean, let's assume we've got to that point now. What do you do now? What is this going to provide you with, or how do you see the information? The answer to that is you're going to log into Google Analytics, and there's a dashboard there that usually right when you load it, it's going to show you the basic, like here's the visitors you've had today, and you can get as in depth with your data as you really want. Google Analytics is super powerful, and it can be really intimidating for that reason too. There's a lot of things to click on. There's a lot of graphs and numbers. It can be a bit overwhelming. But to do your basic stuff, like see how many visitors you're getting, I think in the context of your question, I think the most important things are, what kind of traffic am I getting? Where is it coming from? And what are people doing when they're on my website? So I think you'd express some interest about, you want the website to be in your email. At least I think you said you want it to be, easy to read, easy to understand. And in order to educate yourself on how to make that happen, you might have to do some experimentation. And the only way to experiment is if you can collect data, and Google Analytics is your tool for that. So another link that I'm gonna send you is actually it's the Google Search Engine Optimization Starter Guide, and it's a bit dense. I'm not gonna lie, but it's important to also have. I think if you're going to be dipping your toes into this at all, and you're not just going to hire someone to do it, if you need to know a little bit more about sort of what you're even doing here, right? So you mentioned something about like keywords and descriptions and things like this. Well, the SEO Starter Guide is going to be a great thing to read for that purpose. And if you have good content on your website and you are really thinking about your website rather than from the business owner's perspective, you really make that effort to put yourself in the shoes of your guest and think, if I've never been to this house before, if I've never traveled to this place before, what would I want to know? What do I want to know first? What do I want to read about? And you've actually done quite a good job of that on your website, I would say. So kudos to that for sure.
Thank you.
But anyway, so the starter guide will help you, and it's not just about, because it's not as simple as content on the page, which you've done a really good job with. It goes deeper, which is something you touched on with the keywords and descriptions and stuff.
Yeah, because obviously I want to see if people are finding me. There's a big one, like how many people are actually looking at this and how do they find me? And given this is a very new business, I should add. So we're starting from nothing. And then when they do click on, where do they go? What are they looking at? I think I put it in a logical format if you want to find certain information, but people are impatient. I don't know what my own habits are when I'm looking for accommodation, for example.
I would really say, like I said, I'm going to give you a couple of resources, and you can go as deep or not as you want, right? It's SEO is one of those things that you can really go quite far on your own if you have basic knowledge.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, so that's how you put Google Analytics on your Weebly site. And I'm sure maybe some more questions will come from this. And so if there's anyone watching this that has questions, ask away. And I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And what we'll do is, after I stop recording, I'll see if I can do a screen share with you, and we'll get you sorted right now.
Okay, brilliant.